I just said yesterday in my pro wrestling diagnosis that Raw needs swerves. Well, Oba Femi came out for his open challenge, only to be attacked from behind by Brock Lesnar, who lays him out with like 4 straight F5s. What's up, everybody? Here for my review on last night's Raw in the WWE world. They did do something I was just complaining about yesterday, that they needed some sort of swerve to, shake things up. But overall, it was another similar episode of Raw where it's watchable. But first of all, these WWE shows are too long. But second of all, because they're so long, they don't have enough good ideas to fill up the allotted time that they give these shows. But let's talk about last night's Raw. We'll start with Jacob and Roman wanting to call each other out, really, though it is the Usos that first came out to confront Jacob Fatu. Both of them end up being met with the Tongan death grip. And it's been really effective, these segments with Jacob Fatu. I think they've done a really good job of making Jacob Fatu look crazy, look like a huge challenger to Roman. And not only that, I think what else is effective with these Jacob Fatu segments is that they're really getting over the Tongan death grip as well. Like, it's really becoming a move that seems very dangerous. Now, I still think it needs to be super effective in some big time matchups and, win matches with it. Then it would seal the deal. But in a world of pro wrestling these days where there is not a lot of actual finishing maneuvers because people want to kick out of everything and thus render moves ineffective, I think if they continue to go this way with the Tongan death grip, it could really become something special in the pro wrestling world just because it's so different than what everybody else is doing. Roman ended up coming out as well, leading to a big fight between them. A Superman punch, however, was countered into the Tongan death grip, and the Usos had to save Roman. They put Fatu down, the Usos did, with a splash, some Superman punches from Roman, and a spear let Fatu down. Pierce was coming out because the story is also that Pierce wants to fire Jacob Fatu because he's been doing too much. But Roman wants tribal combat. That seems to be what's on the horizon between this next Roman and Jacob matchup. And they've built up Jacob enough to where you can think that Jacob really could be Roman, especially since we know Roman's June schedule is not really there. So I'm excited for the rematch, honestly. I gave this segment a 2 on the fire scale. Could have got a little higher maybe, but it was some of their segments have been a little similar, I'll say that, but I'm still enjoying them. Next was a street fight between JD McDonough and Finn Balor, which I was not excited about because I feel like this is the only thing they've thrown Finn Balor in for the past month or more now is these matches with JD McDonough. It doesn't seem like they know what to do with Finn Balor. Adding a street fight element kind of helped, but what I didn't like about it was a lack of logic because it was just like a week or two ago where the ring was surrounded by the Judgment Day helping JD McDonough. While in a street fight, it would be easier for the Judgment Day to interfere rather than in a regular fight where there is disqualification. So that's kind of illogical because there's a match where there is disqualification, the Judgment Day is all out there. Then in a match where there is no disqualification, only Dominic Mysterio is the one that interferes. Stuff like that is what I call the WWE out and all these wrestling companies out. The lack of logic in their booking from week to week. It is a lack of consistency. The match was still good enough to get a 1 from me on the fire scale, though I think the street fight element did help. Next was Rollins was giving a promo in the back about the Vision. And while I feel like Rollins was a little more serious and intense here, I'm going to keep saying this every week. The Vision stuff is hard for me to care about. I just am not invested in the Vision as a group or their opponents, so I gave it a 0. So when I feel like in my ratings for when I do these pro wrestling videos, if it's not good but not bad and kind of just there, I'm giving it a 0. They did continue the rookie Ruca segment with Sol Ruca and Becky Lynch, where Becky Lynch last week said maybe the lights are too bright for Sol Ruca on the main roster. Well, she wants to prove herself to Becky Lynch. She wanted a match right there on Raw. Of course, Becky Lynch wasn't going to give it. They did set up a match for Saturday night's main event, but it is a non-title match because Sol Ruca has not earned it yet. This was... I was kind of hoping for a little more from this storyline. This was fine. I gave it a 1 on the fire scale. I'm interested to see how they book the match at Saturday night's main event. I feel like Ruca probably has to go over here, but it kind of changes the storyline very early, where we were kind of setting up that so Ruca's a rookie. Maybe she's not ready. But if she's already going to beat Becky Lynch, I don't know where you really go from there. Then it just kind of becomes a basic pro wrestling feud where, oh, maybe Ruca earned a title shot because she beat Becky Lynch. But I'm open-minded to see what they do with it. The Vision and Paul Heyman were talking about Saturday night's main event. The tag team championships are on the line. Braun Breaker wants the match with Seth Rollins tonight, but Paul Heyman wants it to be Austin Theory. Once again, the Vision is involved. I don't care. Got a 0. The original El Grande Americano and Los Hermanos Americanos versus El Grande Americana and Los Americanos was the 6-man tag match that was next. It's so crazy to me, the difference between this feud on Raw and this feud down in AAA, Lucha Libre, because it's so serious down in Mexico. They do a good job of telling us who's the heel and who's the babyface. Then on Raw, it's just played for laughs and played for chaos, and I did not enjoy this match. I gave it a -1 on the garbage scale. And I really feel like if Undertaker really is heavily involved in AAA, he needs to tell people on the main roster to be like, hey, I'm really trying hard down here to make this a serious feud, to make it mean something, and then it's going to Raw, and it's fucking buffoonery. Speaking of buffoonery, Joe Hendry came out for a concert to talk about Logan Paul. It's repetitive. It's not funny. I don't really think Joe Hendry is getting over on the main roster with these concerts. I think Elias was better with this gimmick years ago, so I gave it a 0 on the fire scale. Could have gone to the garbage scale, actually. I don't think Joe Hendry is this entertaining person on the main roster that I kind of hoped he would be. The Usos were in the back talking about tribal combat when LA Knight, of all people, interrupted them. Good to see that LA Knight still has a job and that he's still alive in general, because we haven't seen him really since the night after WrestleMania, I think. I also liked in this segment that LA Knight called out the Usos for their hypocrisy and that they fought the Vision at WrestleMania because of how they were treating people, and now the Usos are kind of doing the same thing. I like how this all plays to how this whole Roman and Usos new bloodline group kind of is tweeners, I guess, in wrestling terms. But they're kind of like gray characters, not really good, not really bad yet. Next up was Ethan Page in a sit-down interview with Michael Cole that I thought was very effective for Ethan Page. I think this is what Ethan Page needed on the main roster. I would like more of this, not necessarily a sit down, but more time for us to dive into Ethan Page's character, because he's doing a really good job of his gimmick of having an ego. He's all ego Ethan Page, and I think it really came across in this interview. Some of it was cheesy, that he's going to rename the Intercontinental title the Ethan Page Championship, but regardless, I really do feel like they not only did good with Ethan Page's gimmick here, but more interest for the match at Saturday night's main event, because I think this could end up being the main event, right? Or was there a match made later? It has to be this. It's either this one or the Tag Team Championships. But I like this. I gave it a 2 on the fire scale. The Women's Tag Team Championships are not good right now. The match with Paige and Brie versus Raquel and Roxanne of Judgment Day was kind of the exact same match we saw with Paige and Brie on SmackDown, except it was Paige being the wrestler in peril here and Brie having to have the hot tag. and Liv was at ringside doing some interference. The referee was going to send Liv away, but that's enough for a distraction for Brie Bella to roll up Perez to retain the titles. Then afterwards, Judgment Day assaults the tag champions, and Lyra and Bayley make the save. I don't think Paige and Brie have been very effective as tag champions. They are just not making me more interested in seeing where they're going to go. It's hard with tag team championships, though. I don't feel like modern day wrestling is very effective with tag team champions or just tag team storylines in general. That goes with all the companies. I think it is a hard thing to pull off, and they're definitely not pulling it off with the women's tag team championships. I gave it a 0. Next was our big surprise. I just said yesterday in my pro wrestling diagnosis that Raw needs swerves. Well, Oba Femi came out for his open challenge, only to be attacked from behind by Brock Lesnar, who lays him out with like 4 straight F5s. Lesnar not really retired, not that I ever fully bought that anyway. And now he is back wanting a match, or he will come out of retirement if he could have his rematch with Oba Femi. Because it was a surprise, shook things up, I did give it a 3 on the fire scale. I'm a little disappointed it's already happening, because in the meantime, between a Oba Femi and Brock Lesnar rematch, and that's still Oba Femi's storyline, they could have had another storyline with Oba rather than these ineffective open challenges. But I guess they were just biding them their time for a month before they could just redo this storyline. I'm interested to see where it goes. I am kind of on the fence, though, of if I will continue to enjoy this feud being a thing still. In the back, the Street Profits had a promo about the Vision. They're going to win the tag championships at the pay-per-view. Afterwards, Dawkins went over to Seth Rollins to thank him for last week. It seems like Dawkins wants to have Seth Rollins back, maybe have some sort of alliance. I want to be more interested in this, but it's a Vision storyline, so it's hard. I did give it a 1 on the fire scale. The match between Seth Rollins and Austin Theory was a boring-ass main event. I did not care about it at all. I don't necessarily dislike Austin Theory, but I just don't care. I don't care about the Vision. It is not a good storyline. It doesn't seem like it's going anywhere. We already did the Rollins and Breakker feud. That was the last thing to do with this faction. Seth Rollins wins here. Austin Theory could not put him away, even though Logan was helping. I gave it a 0 on the fire scale because it was just a boring main event that I did not care about. And I thought Raw had a weak ending because the Vision tries to beat down Seth Rollins afterwards, at least Logan Paul and Austin Theory. Angelo Dawkins makes the save, followed by Montez Ford. Montez seems upset with Dawkins for getting him in this mess with Seth Rollins, because Braun Breaker then comes out to help his fellow visionaries, and basically Montez Ford took a bullet for Angelo Dawkins and got speared, and then security came out and we still had a pull away with Rollins and Breaker, and I still don't care, so it was a 0 on the fire scale for me. Overall, Raw still gets a 1 on my scale overall, which is still good because I'm quite a critic, especially with pro wrestling. I do feel like it was a weaker episode than last week overall, though. But I feel like it had higher highs than last week. Well, maybe not, because the ending of last week's Raw was good with Jacob Fatu really taking out the Usos and Roman. The highlight of this Raw was, of course, the shocker of Brock Lesnar returning. So I did have a better swerve than last week for sure, but it was kind of more of the same. Raw is a very basic pro wrestling show. It's hard to care about some things, at least for me, with the Vision, but it's watchable. That's the best thing I could say for Raw. It is watchable.